In this episode, for your viewing pleasure, I go on a journey across a cold, desolate Dartmoor, exploring hidden valleys in search of a secret waterfall that some say is magical. Yep, hype it up. It's like an episode of Lord of the Rings without hobbits. I'm surprised I didn't use the word epic. It's very cold, windy and overcast on Dartmoor today, so I've headed down into a little valley along the River Dart to do some detailed shots of water and rocks. These conditions, these overcast conditions, are perfect for this type of shot, and I'm framing a composition so I'm not including the sky because that adds nothing to the shot. Yeah, I've got a nice little composition here. I'm really happy with. I'm just using a polarizing filter, and I'm using Mother Nature as my neutral density filter because it's so dark. The polarizer is enough, and I'm going to get a nice sort of milky, blurry water effect. But what I'm probably going to do is shoot a second shot of the water, first of all to get a really good exposure of it, because if I do a shot exposing for the overall composition, the water's probably going to get blown out if I want to bring up my shadow areas on the rest of the shot. So by taking a second shot of the water, I get a better exposure and I can just blend that in Photoshop. But also it's going to be a faster exposure, capture a little bit more of the motion of the water rather than have it go too blurred on me. I don't like water when it's too milky and too smooth. I like to see a little bit of texture and a little bit of that movement in there. So take a look at this. I've now followed the River Dart further east and parked at Venford Reservoir, and there's a small sort of brook river that joins the River Dart. There's supposed to be a waterfall there, a small one, Venford Falls. Apparently it's hard to find, but I've seen so many photographs of it online, the same old photos, so I'm not really here to photograph that. What I'm interested in is following the river along and looking for some interesting shots with water, rocks and trees. There's a lot of sort of old oak trees with lots of moss on around here, and I'm more interested in those than anything else. Well, this is Venford Brook that runs down and joins the River Dart. It's beautiful. This is really nice. There's some lovely old mossy trees. I just love mossy trees. I'm guessing the waterfall is further down. It's pretty muddy and slippery. One thing I would say if you're going to explore Dartmoor for the first time is if you've got some nice fancy hiking boots, don't bring them. Bring a pair of old wellies. Really, Wellington boots are the best footwear because it's just so wet. If you're doing photography, you're going to want to get into the water anyway, so Wellington boots. Now, let's see if we can find our way up here. Whoa, see what I mean about muddy? See how wet that is? Well, I found it. Nothing special really. It's pretty small. I wouldn't say it's any more than a mile away from the car park. The trail is a bit treacherous. It's wet, slippery, and you're walking along the path and all of a sudden it vanishes. So yeah, it is a bit tricky. Bit of a challenge to get a good composition, I think, and that's why I guess you only see pretty much the 1 or 2 compositions when you look online for this. So I'm going to give it a go, but I'm really more interested in the rest of the river. I mean, it's just a beautiful little river. So I'm just going to do a quick shot here before I move along and start exploring. I want to keep these videos authentic, real, and the reality is that it started to rain and the wind, which was very strong on the moor earlier, managed to find its way down into the valley. The whole experience was pretty miserable. I wasn't impressed with Venford Falls. It's sort of a bit of a dark, gloomy mud hole really, with sort of mess everywhere. It just wasn't doing it for me. But I got to tell you, this river that joins the River Dart is fantastic. It's definitely worth coming to. It's worth exploring. There are so many photo opportunities along the river with the trees and the rocks, just a nicely forested area. So I highly recommend it. For me, yeah, the weather's just so bad. It stopped raining again, but now it's actually getting dark. It's definitely worth coming back here. At least you got to see an interesting spot, and I hope you visit sometime. As I said, where your well is, and keep your eyes peeled for the trail because you do lose track of it on many occasions. So thanks for watching.